So I'd like to officially welcome you to the BGS Advantage webinar series, which is brought in part by our partner KPMG. My name is McKenna Sawchek. I'm the marketing coordinator here at BGS Global HQ, and I've actually been a BGS member since 2016. It's my pleasure to be your host today. This is actually my first time on this side of the camera with BGS, so bear with me today. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. We will be doing a Q&A with our presenter, Casey, at the end of the presentation. If you have any questions, we ask that you use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screens, though we do welcome any and all interactions throughout the presentation in the chat feature too. So you can see that a lot of our members are already letting us know where they're joining us from today, and just throughout the presentation, any comments, we love seeing those. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and will be available via Career Central on our website, and we do offer a closed captioning service on all of our webinars. So if you're not seeing that feature because of your settings in Zoom, you can access it by clicking the CC button at the bottom of your screens. Our presenter today is Casey Blonsky, Senior Vice President at American Management Association. AMA is how we're going to be referring to them throughout the presentation today. He is a recognized thought leader in the fields of learning strategies, customer experience, and leadership development. Casey holds degrees in marketing and organizational development from Post University. And over the next hour, he's going to dive into the topic of management excellence, which is why we're all here today. AMA is a fabulous BGS partner that helps individuals and organizations realize their potential through effective learning solutions. As a member, you can look to them to help you fuel innovation, enable agility, and execute on strategy. To learn more about our partnership with AMA, you can visit the BGS website, and also our moderator, Matt, will drop the link into chat throughout the presentation. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Casey to officially get us started.
Awesome. Thanks so much, McKenna. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening to some of you. I am really excited to be here and to work with you guys today around the topic of why management certification and what do we mean by that. So before I do anything, let me share my screen so I can pop that up. And actually, McKenna, it's saying that it's disabled.
Looks like you should be good now. You want to give it another try?
There you go. Perfect. All right. How's that? Can you all see the, okay? So why management certification? A little bit about me first. I've been with AMA for almost 4 years now, but I've been in learning and development and leadership development for over 25 years. I'm from Tampa, Florida, although I am at our corporate headquarters this week in New York City, right off of Times Square, which is not a bad place to be. But I'm looking forward to going home to Tampa. And I noticed a couple people were from Colorado. So congratulations on your win last night over my Lightning. And we'll see what happens with the rest of the series as it continues on. But we're really here to talk more about management certification and leadership in general and the changes that have occurred ever since COVID. So what we'd like to do today is talk a little bit about the impact of management. And we all know manager, leader, the differentiation. There's multiple definitions out there in the workplace and who is a manager, who is a leader, and what their responsibilities are. But that has significantly changed over the years, especially since the pandemic. What is certification and what are we talking about? You know, we hold this honor from BGS, and you know, we may have received certifications in the past from PMI and SHRM and others. But what is a management certification and why is it important? And then specifically, how does it all work? But let's really talk first a little bit about American management. McKenna gave a great overview. We'll be celebrating our 100th year in business next year. So we started right before the Great Depression and have been able to um, mold and change with the times since the 20s, um, 1920s, that is, uh, until current situation. So we've seen and worked with organizations through pandemics in the past, and obviously the challenges with Wall Street, and then with war and what have you. And the one thing that's consistent is there is a strong need for skill development, not only from a commercial standpoint, focusing on the business, but there's also a skill development needed on how managers and leaders work with their teams to fully execute for an organization. And AMA has been able to do that for the past 100 years. So let's get into what we're here to talk about, management, and just to kind of level set where we are. Let's take a look at the data that we've uncovered from Harvard Business Review on the population of the workforce. So for every 5 employees, one person is normally titled as a manager, a leader, supervisor, what have you. There's 24 million managers, supervisors, and administrators in the US today. And 30% of an organization's compensation is for those titled manager. So managers have a significant impact on an organization's success or failure. And what we do with that is critical. When the pandemic hit and we all went home to work, many organizations had to pivot to that type of environment. As the pandemic starts to hopefully slow down and dissipate, and we're getting used to living with COVID and living with the new hybrid workforce, or being asked to come back to the office, there is a change that needs to occur in the management field. And according to a report by Dun and Bradstreet, over 60% of managers do not have the appropriate skills to support the changes in the workforce today. And so when you think about what is the impact of managers, you could see on the screen, it's high turnover, it's revenue loss, it's motivation and morale. So what you're seeing here is not just organizations trying to adapt, but it's the responsibility of managers to bring people along through the change, as well as adapting to the new processes, new policies. What tends to happen in situations like this, we become very in-focused. We're focused on the organization. We're focused on our employees. And we also forget about the customer. As a matter of fact, when you think about a management framework, the Brookings Institute came up with a great some great research that says there's a fundamental mismatch between the skills that employers rely upon in their employees and the skills that job seekers possess. However, 95% of universities believe that students are ready for the workplace, that they have already learned all the skills. There is a fundamental difference between theory that is taught at university level, college level, and the business application and skill set that is needed in the world. Those that may have graduated 5 years ago were taught without an understanding of what the pandemic could do to organizations and the economic environment. And so there has been a consistent challenge since 2019 on management skill aligning with the behaviors and the execution that is needed to move forward today. When we started looking at that, and we started actually back in 2017 developing this certification, we were asked by several of our customers that were going through mergers and acquisitions, or customers that were hiring a number of managers because of their growth, that there was no consistency in behavior skill. And so we started developing the certification that we call the Certified Professional in Management. uh, Way back then, starting to do our due diligence and our research, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But we really started thinking through what were the fundamental skill gap between the current state and the future state. What is the consistency that was needed to achieve the results that organizations were looking for? And then how were we going to distribute this? We identified a few partners that came on and helped us build out this certification process as well as the test. And so, again, we'll talk a little bit about that. But there was a need for consistency in management development. Jump forward to 2018, 2019, at the start of the pandemic and into 2020, there was a need to truly focus on upskilling and reskilling the management workforce, because leaders were usually focused on the operational effectiveness, and they were asked to focus on operational effectiveness and not so much on the human skill. And we all know what happened when we went home. We became isolated. There was a higher level of fear, a higher level of stress. Was I going to be able to keep my job? How am I going to balance work life as well as my regular life while I'm working from home? Do I have a setup at home? What have you? And then managers were struck with, I don't have a fully functional team in one setting. I've got people now across the globe that I'm managing. How do I effectively communicate? How do I have and do I have the right business acumen to do this? And so it was a struggle for everyone. Now, luckily, we're starting to get settled and understand what the environment is going to remain with hybrid workforces, or some organizations going fully hybrid or fully remote. And so managers have to adjust consistently because we are in a state of flux and change that will not go away.
Hey, Case,
Yes,
before we keep going, could you share your screen full screen instead of the presenter mode?
I'm sorry, I have it on two screens and I thought that's what was
No,
sharing.
we can see it. Just our participants would like to see full screen so they can see your slides even better.
Absolutely. Hold on one second. Let me do that. As soon as I figure out how to do it. Hold on one second. Let's share. How's that?
That's much better. Thank you.
Sure. I apologize for that. So, what is AMA Certified Professional? We believe that managers must not only have the skills, capabilities, and competence to lead, but the character to positively impact and influence people. We can't get the job done without the people that we lead or manage. And so, how are we effectively driving high levels of productivity, engagement, motivation? And so, what we have done is create this AMA-CPM, as we call it, a standard for determining who is qualified to meet this criteria. Some of the data that we've uncovered during our research is that 84% of professionals agree having managers certified would increase efficiency and better management. Organizations that are struggling to develop their culture and maintain their culture in these changing times agree that consistency in management is a key component of consistent culture. And if you think about it in your own lives, when you start working for one manager or leader, and then you transition to another in the same organization, and there's a different management flow, a different understanding, a different way to motivate or not motivate, there's a complete disconnect on culture. And so building a consistency around management skill only supports a consistent level of satisfaction in the employee ranks, which we know is critical today in focused on employee experience. The one underneath that, 1 trillion annual waste due to inefficient management is critical. If managers do not have the appropriate skills, they are wasting a significant amount of time as well as budget around implementation of non-functioning or not effective areas of in their workplace. But more importantly, there is a huge disconnect in employee satisfaction. And employees, as you know, with unemployment rate as it is, can jump very quickly to new roles. And so organizations need to really focus on the employee experience, employee satisfaction to maintain the retention of their skill base of skilled employees. 58% of managers said they didn't receive any management training. And that is true. What we are seeing a lot in organizations is that they're willing to focus on frontline development, quick microburst training, which we also offer, but that really only builds awareness. It doesn't necessarily build installation of skill. And so LinkedIn Learning and Skillsoft and virtual training, all very good, but what is the follow up? What is necessary? And a lot of times it's not focused on your managers, or you were great at as a frontline provider, and now you're in a supervisor role with no supervisory skills. That's a challenge. And so working on this AMA-CPM will give you a baseline of understanding of what those skills are and where you may need additional training. 59%, and this one killed me, employees trust strangers more than their own managers. Think about that. There's the old adage that people don't leave organizations, they leave their managers. Well, they would much rather talk to a stranger and trust a stranger than their own management team. So that level of trust and empathy is critical in today's environment. And managers need to pay attention to that. And so in developing our CPM, we looked at 4 areas our research identified as being critical to effectively execute in organizations today. There must be a mastery of personal awareness and interpersonal skills, the human side of the equation. So we focus on professional effectiveness, really understanding how to enable managers to drive a level of motivation and self-discovery and productivity in a way that maintains the integrity of the individual. Relationship management. So how do I communicate effectively to gain influence and collaboration to support the strategic goals of the organization? How do I establish a culture of trust in my teams that I'm working with? Business acumen. Today's manager is not just focused on one task or 2 tasks. As a matter of fact, we spoke to an organization in the healthcare field, and they said our managers are overwhelmed with the priorities that they have. No longer can they focus on the 3 priorities or the 3 skills that they do best in. They need to be well-rounded. And so understanding the financial aspect of the job, the functional and the strategic levels, how to think outside the box, how to be more innovative, and then how do I maintain and manage a customer focused approach is now critical. Because again, when the pandemic struck, we became all in focused. How are we going to get the job done? How are we going to do it? And there was kind of a shutdown of looking outside the organization and thinking about the customer. That needs to occur today. And analytical intelligence. Managers need to be much more savvy in critical thinking, in design thinking, analysis, How do I interpret data to best manage and support organizational effectiveness? So, what we've done is we looked at those four areas and we identified the 16 competencies that make up those four domains, and we created the exam around that. The goal, obviously, is to be much more well-rounded manager, to have those proper skills to fully execute and support the effort. We also offer preparation methods, and there's several ways that you can prepare for the exam. The first is our management book of knowledge. It's about a 500-page book that goes into depth around all four of those domains and the 16 competencies. And it is a self-study, or we utilize it in instructor-led classroom. And we have a 2-day, a 4-day, as well as a 1-day kind of crash course for people to learn and practice the foundational management skills required to be knowledgeable, to be that skilled manager, but also aligned to the exam itself. We also offer self-study. So for those of you that don't want to sit in a classroom and learn that way, you can utilize the body of knowledge book, textbook, and utilize our self-study, which is about 16 self-paced e-learning lessons, 20 minutes each, that are aligned to each key management competency. And you can do that on your time, whenever you have the time to go through it to prepare yourself for the exam. The practice exam is a similar experience. It's about 75 multiple choice questions that you can practice and see where you stand, identify the gaps, and go back and utilize the on demand to just refresh and learn more about that specific skill. So let's talk about what some of the benefits are. Well, obviously, for you as a manager or as a supervisor or even an individual that is a high potential that is looking to move up in management, it would expand your knowledge beyond the on-the-job experience. And a lot of times on the job is the daily task, but not necessarily the skills that are necessary for upward mobility. So it would expand that. It would improve your performance and team productivity because you would understand both the human skill and the business skill and how they work together to inspire, motivate, and drive productivity to execute. And then enhance the impact on the bottom line. If we all work together towards the same goal, same mission, we achieve the results that we're looking for. For your organization, think about it. It's a clear indicator of your competence across all levels, as well as consistency. So if you have a shift or a reorg, you're pretty proactive in understanding that your managers, wherever they are, would be consistent to maintain the values, the mission, as well as the managerial culture of the organization. It would also recognize strong performers and motivate potential leaders, because once you are certified and pass the exam, you would be AMA certified professional in management. You would be badged in that and you would receive the certificate, which shares with all the world. You can check on LinkedIn and do a search for AMA-CPM and you can see who has gone through it. Also, it increases customer confidence as they engage with the highest caliber of talent, you. So your customers right now, and all of us as customers, as consumers, we're trying to establish trust in an environment that sometimes is really in focused and not thinking about the customer. Think about if you went and bought a car recently. Well, chips are missing and their cars are upwards of 30% in pricing. Is the experience equal to the price that you're paying? Or are they really just focused on themselves? Think about the gas prices and what's occurring there. And are they really thinking about the end user, or are they trying to price gouge us to try to make up for the shortfalls during the last couple of years? Management consistency is critical for the success of an organization, but it is really critical for people to understand what those skill sets are moving forward. These are just some comments from what our clients are saying. So um, I'll let you read those. I don't need to read them. But one thing that came clear in one of these is even the MBA candidate, or those that have received their MBA, are seeing the need for upskilling and reskilling and refreshing. And so Andy Matheson saw that and utilized the AMA-CPM for that adage. So my recommendation is, do not rest on your laurels. Things consistently change. Learning never stops. And I know we've heard that time and time again, but it is a truism, especially if you are in a management or leadership role. It's your responsibility to stay involved and stay up to date with the skills that are necessary to be successful. And you really become the teachers as well as the example that you're trying to set for your organizations. I've talked a lot, shared a lot. So let me open it up to questions and see if I can help you out in any way.
It seems like our Q&A feature might not be working. It seems like it's broken. So I know I had told everybody to use that, but if you could just type in your questions in the chat, that'd be perfect. I do have one to get us started. So it seems like a lot of the like going fully remote, maybe the skills that management had were a lack of soft skills specifically. Do you feel like that's true?
Oh, it's absolutely true. When people went home, managers, for the most part, were used to intact work teams, and so they were able to walk to the desk and have a conversation. Now, it's setting up a Zoom, it's setting up Teams, it's how do I motivate from afar. Skills, the soft skills are incredibly important in this time, especially in hybrid workforces, when you're trying to be as productive as possible at work. At the same time, you're sitting at home thinking, I got to put the wash in, I got to empty the dishwasher, or I have daycare that I have to take care of. Managers need to understand the human skill. They have to understand the stress that people are under these days to balance both work balance as well as life balance. And so the human skill is necessary. The soft skill is necessary of empathy, trust, motivation is critical, and questioning, communication is incredibly important, which are all soft skills, which a lot of organizations think are nice to have. But when it comes right down to it, the human skill is the one that is the most effective in achieving results for a company.
Very true. So it looks like our Q&A box is working properly. Maybe it was a user error on my end, but we do have some questions about the CPM. So the certification, does it have an expiration time?
Yeah. So once you're certified, it's you have to recertify every 3 years, and in that 3 years period, you have to receive 60 what we call PMUs, which are basically work life uh, credits that are used to recertify every 3 years. And so it's very simple to maintain. We believe that more should have this CPM. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible to maintain rather than a one and done.
Definitely. So some more questions about the certificate. Who does AMA kind of think is the target for it? Managers or prospective managers, or both?
Both. So when we look at the data of those that have gone through the CPM, it is frontline managers, it is supervisor and high potentials. I will also let you know that several universities and colleges are utilizing the CPM as capstones to their master's programs and to some of their undergrad um, classes. So, for example, Purdue University utilizes it. My alma mater, Post University, utilizes it in their master's program at their School of Business because they see there's great alignment in what they are teaching from a theoretical standpoint on management skill, but this really ties into the application of those skills and really draws them into being prepared for the real world and business. So it's really all over the board, from high potentials to undergrads that are just starting out to business school.
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of all encompassing for sure. So we
Okay.
do have a few questions regarding how long the course is to take to get certified, and then also the cost.
Sure. So the the time frame is a hard one to answer, only because it's up to you on how long. You could sign right up and go take the test if you want. What we are saying from a preparation standpoint, we make it as easy as possible for you to review and be prepared to take the exam. That's why we offer classroom, we offer the textbook, as well as the on demand assets. The on demand is about, I don't know, 4.5 hours of modules that you can utilize to support the development and the preparation to take the exam. So it's really dependent on how much effort you want to put into preparing to take the exam. The exam itself is a 3 hour um, multi multiple question, multiple answer test. You get the results within, I believe, 2 weeks on whether you're certified or not certified. And yeah, it's very simple, like I said, for us to certify you. As far as the cost is concerned, I'm happy to say that we have built a great relationship and partnership with BGS. And so, normally, to get the body of knowledge, the textbook, the on demand, the application fee, and the test, it's about $950. With BGS, if you as a member, we are offering all of that for $599. So it's a significant discount to all BGS members to not only receive the body of knowledge, the on demand, but also your application and testing fee is taken care of within that 599.
Definitely a great value. And we do have more information about that on our landing page. I know Matt's dropped that link in the chat a few times, but it'll also be in our follow-up message that we send out in the next few days. So I'll go back to the Q&A box here. Where are in-person classes held and how often throughout the year?
So the in-person classes are usually done through AMA's public seminar group. Again, there is a discount for BGS members to attend any of the public seminars, and that's also on your website, I believe. They are all over the country and at all different times. So I would recommend that you look at amanet.org, which is our website, um, and punch in CPM prep, and it will take you to where the classes are being held. The testing itself is virtual. We have partnered with PSI, who is our testing partner for proctoring, and they have locations all over the globe, and a ton here in the US in particular. But we also offer it virtually. So either way you want to take the exam, there is a location, or you can take it right from your home. As far as the classroom events, they're all over the country. I would just check the website.
Yeah, it seems very accessible for our members all over. So I'm just going to keep going down the line here. Do you have any planned programs for those who are managers of managers?
Absolutely. Again, I would ask that you look at the AMA website. There are several. AMA itself has about 160 programs in our library beyond the AMA-CPM that would help prepare you for development, especially managers of managers. We also have a significant number of people that are CPM certified who are executive level, senior level, that have taken this from a consistency standpoint. One organization that we work with, a financial institution, has all of their executives certified in AMA-CPM from the president on down. Because he believed in the consistency so much that the executives needed to be there as well. So I would again welcome you to check out our website and check out the library of programs we offer for executives.
Mhm. Perfect. And Matt did just drop that link in the chat again. I'm sure I'll sound like a broken record by the end of it, but it is very accessible. So management is a skill that everyone needs to practice. Learning the actual theory isn't necessarily as helpful. This participant saying, how does the certificate solve that issue?
So the certificate actually proves the application of and understanding and installation of the skill. Again, when you think about taking tests, it's, do we study to take the exam, or are we studying to really understand the skill that we're trying to embed in our daily life? And I think with the way we have developed our development around the AMA CPM, the research we've conducted, the preparation that we've done, as well as the exam itself, has proof that not only does the certified professional understand the skill, but can apply it in various scenarios. And the exam proves that. So we've had a lot of people talk about the AMA CPM has allowed me to move up. It has allowed me to ask for more money. It's a great piece on the resume when you're searching for a new job that you've gone through this. So I think it's a great proof source that you care about being a leader, that you care about the people that you would manage, and that you would be ready on day one to support the efforts of the organizations that you're working with or being hired into.
Most definitely. Moving right along, is there any connection to other management certifications with the CPM? So, for example, the PMP.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that there's a relationship. I would say it's more of an admiration of the various certifications, whether it be PMP, whether it be SHRM, or any others. I think what differentiates AMA CPM is the practical application that is needed. Um, PMP is specific on project management, SHRM specific on HR, but AMA CPM really took a broader stroke to look at the human and the business skills that are necessary to thrive in any management scenario that is out there. And I think that's a little different than PMP and SHRM, but we all three strive for excellence in the various titles that we support.
I appreciate that.
Sure.
So, for someone considering several certifications, a lot of the ones you've listed, what would you say is the driver for someone to get the CPM over the others? I know you kind of addressed this with the last question, but just a more specific.
Yeah. I think with it depends on your pursuit and what you're looking for. I think if you are pursuing an HR role, I wouldn't argue about getting SHRM certified. Project management, PMP is the norm now for anyone going into project management. With AMA CPM, I think you would become more well-rounded as a manager because we really focus on those four domains that are critical, not only for managers in manufacturing or financial services, but if you are an HR leader, these are the same domains that would be critical for you as well. So I would only recommend that you take where you want to go and how far up you want to go. I think AMA-CPM, but I'm biased, is a little more specific to the managerial skills that are necessary for success, and then maybe add SHRM after the fact to then take the skills that you learned through the certification of CPM and then apply them to SHRM and your role in HR.
That was going to be my question building off of that. If you see a lot of people doing like both certifications, like the CPM and the PMP.
Yes, we do. We see a lot of people with SHRM come through PMP. We're actually a PMP prep provider as well, because we really appreciate what that offers. And as a matter of fact, our head of recurring revenue is from PMI in his past life, and he sees a definite link between PMP and AMA-CPM as far as understanding project management, but also understanding the human skill that is necessary in dealing with people. Our own CHRO is SHRM certified. Our CEO is SHRM certified, and both of them have taken the AMA-CPM. Because of well-roundedness, and all levels of AMA executive team are CPM certified as well.
Very good to know. It's all connected.
Yep.
So it looks like we've tackled all of the Q&A questions and chat questions. If anyone has any final thoughts or questions here, feel free to put them either in the Q&A box or the chat. But my final comment before we wrap up is, holy cow, to that 59% of people would rather talk to a stranger than their own manager.
Yeah.
That's a wild / terrifying statistic.
Yes. Can you imagine that you trust someone outside than your own manager? It's it says a lot.
It really does. And I'm sure you agree that the CPM really kind of, maybe that's the 41% of people who would like to talk to their manager.
Exactly.
Or a stranger. But
Yep.
It looks like we're good to go here. So before we officially wrap up, we've talked a lot about the CPM certification. And I think at this point, you all can tell that it's a game-changing certification for employers, clients, colleagues, to let them know that you have skills, knowledge, and experience of a well-rounded, successful manager. And also that it seems to be a really great opportunity for organizations to hire and retain the best talent out there, which it's especially nowadays is more important than ever. And as Casey's already mentioned, AMA does offer BGS members a 3-step value pack for $5.99, the discounted rate pretty substantially. And you can find that through our landing page on our website that Matt's dropped in. And yep, that sounds like everything on my list that I wanted to make. Oh, we do have the quiz. I don't want to forget that. So maybe if you're considering, you're kind of on the border of if you think that you should get the certification, AMA has put together a quiz for everyone that can help you decide if you're ready for qualification or maybe have some areas that you need to brush up on. And I saw Matt drop that into the chat earlier. And a big thank you again to Casey and AMA for presenting today. I personally and truly feel like I came out with a lot more knowledge on management excellence, the CPM. And as I've said a lot of times today, the links are all in the chat and will also be in an email that we'll send out in the next few days, along with the recording of this webinar if you'd like to rewatch. Anything else, Casey, today?
No, I just want to thank BGS for the partnership, for allowing us to spend some time with your members, sharing a little bit about AMA-CPM. Again, it's a unique environment that we're all in right now. And if you are in a leadership role, take good care of your people, and they will take good care of you.
Most definitely. Well, thank you again for our members who joined. Have a fantastic rest of your day, everyone. Bye.
Bye all.